Aging Up specifically focuses on youth in foster care because we know the dire statistics that former foster youth face.
Kids in foster care are probably the most vulnerable population in our community. They have a 50% chance of becoming homeless, incarcerated, or unemployed within 2 years of exiting the foster care system.
Everything we do is to reduce and reverse those statistics so we can see youth from foster care grow into happy, healthy, self-sufficient adults.
Aging Up changes the game on service providers, and I think that's the big focus going in, is to making it unsocial worky and having the kids and the mentors know that they're both in this together.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Ellis, and today I have a very special guest from Aging Up. Can you please guys introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm April Johnson, co-founder and communications director of Aging Up.
I'm Keisha Sakazaki, co-founder and program director.
I'm Lexi Palmer. I'm one of the mentors in the third cohort.
And can you please tell our viewers, what is Aging Up?
Sure. So Aging Up is a mentoring program specifically for youth who have any experience in foster care. So right now we serve youth the age between 13 and 19, and we match them with screened and trained mentors. And then they meet together one-to-one. Typically our services are in person, but obviously due to COVID, we've adapted and have some virtual services where they meet and communicate that way.
Can you please tell us the history behind Aging Up?
Yeah, absolutely. So Keisha and I had the privilege of working together at a foster adoption agency, and she actually ran their mentoring program that serviced youth 6 to 12. I was on the marketing end of that team and really just fell in love with sharing stories and hearing stories about the impacts of mentoring. And so our careers kind of went on divergent paths, but we had a friendship and continued to stay in communication, and really felt like Sacramento needed a mentoring program that was specific for teens, 13 and older, because we all know that being an adolescent, middle school and high school is not easy for anybody. Being in foster care obviously adds some additional challenges. And we just felt like someone in Sacramento needs to do this. And after probably 2 or 3 years of that conversation, we locked ourselves in a room and built a strategic plan, and Aging Up really came out of that. And so that was, we officially founded in 2016 and started services in 2017 with our first cohort of mentors. And really our passion and goal for Aging Up has always been, we realized that there's teens in foster care, but often when youth get permanency, they're either adopted or guardianship or even go back to their biological families, a lot of services stop for them and they're not eligible anymore because they have permanency. And so for us, we felt like, they still can use, every young person benefits from caring adults. And the more caring adults in their life, the stronger their foundation is and the more resources they have. So part of Aging Up is that we also provide services for youth so long as they've had any experience in foster care in their childhood. And again, adolescence is just a tough time. And so for teens, when they exit foster care, which in California can be until the age of 21, so it's typically between 18 and 21 youth exit foster care, they're often said to age out of foster care. And so that has a really negative connotation. It's like, well, you aged out, now you're done. And we really wanted to give that transitionary time a positive outlook. And so that's why we named ourselves Aging Up.
And then just to go a little more into that, for the kids aging out of foster care and they go into Aging Up, how does that work? Do they apply?
So yeah, most of our kids, we get them through referrals. We work closely with Sac County CPS department. And so a lot of times it's social workers. It could be social workers from a group home, even school districts Sometimes it's a teacher or the foster youth liaison that might refer them to our program. Or it could be a foster parent. Now that we've been around a little longer, we have caregivers that have had kids in their house that have aging up mentors, and so they'll ask for them for a new youth that gets placed with them. So they go through their own screening process as well, but all they have to do is live within the greater Sacramento area and have some history in foster care. So we do have kids that have been reunified, so they're back home with biological parents. We have a few that are in adoptive homes or legal guardianships. The majority of our kids are still in the system, but even if they were to leave, we don't terminate services. We want to continue to support them. And it really is about what April said, it's about helping them transition into adulthood. So it's like you can't just walk them up to a certain stage and say, okay, you're good, you're 18 now, goodbye. We want to be with them through that entire transition because it takes time to get through and they still need those supports. So, that's a big part of what we want to do is to grow our program up with our kids. That first cohort we brought in and eventually extend our services, to 21 or even to the age of 24, hopefully. We're very big on youth empowerment, so the youth have to opt into our program. So we have different places along the way of their enrollment process where we ask them, do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to get a mentor with our program? So that they are opting in. It's not something we want them to feel they're being forced to do or court ordered to do at all. Even though referrals might come through like a formal system a lot of the time, the youth themselves have final say. Even in the mentor that we select for them, we tell them about that person and they have the choice to have that meeting or not with that person.
And for aging up, can you please tell us, why does mentoring matter?
So for youth in foster care, a lot of them, they've been removed from their families, and with that sometimes comes loss of siblings, friends in their neighborhood, maybe even their school and their teachers. So there's a lot of inconsistency with those relationships. They get interrupted, and then the adults that come into their lives a lot of times are there because they're serving some sort of role for them. So they're paid, it's part of their jobs, and they lack that ability to kind of form those natural mentoring relationships that happen with kids as they grow up, because they experience frequent moves more often. So what we've done is we've created a program where in a formal way, we match youth with adult volunteers to sort of become that one consistent, supportive adult relationship. Our mentors are all volunteers and they've committed to just be there for the youth, and they're often the only adults in their lives that aren't being paid to be there. So it's just a way of, through relationships, to help them to heal from the trauma, which may have been the reason for their first removal, but also just the experience of being in foster care sort of by themselves and frequent placement changes that may happen too.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Can I add something?
Absolutely.
I think mentoring is really important, even more so during this time, just because I know even for myself as an adult during Corona, it's kind of scary not knowing what's happening. And so especially for these youth, I think it's really important that they have like this solid person that we're still contacting them, weekly or bi-weekly, just trying to, bring some, consistency in their life, because they're still going through things that foster kids go through. Some of them, maybe their placements may be changing, or even they may be even being removed from their homes and put into foster care. So I think mentoring now is more important and just as important as before.
So, and then, organizationally, obviously COVID has affected us, but for our youth themselves, if you think about just as adults, what coronavirus and COVID has done with just kind of uncertainty of, am I going back to work? If so, what does that look like? What is distance learning? As adults, we're kind of more anxious, and, I think mental health is suffering, and people are kind of figuring things out as we go, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Those emotions are typical experiences, even pre-COVID, for youth in foster care kind of on a regular basis. They don't have a lot of choice as far as where they're going to live, which home they get placed in, how long they're going to be there, when they meet their bio families. So this uncertainty that we're feeling now, again, is kind of a common experience. And then you add the additional uncertainty of COVID. And so our youth, definitely right now, like Lexi said, need mentors more than ever, because mentors provide a consistent person who's checking in on them, who's caring about them, and just kind of brings a little joy, and somebody who, if they need to let some steam out, or ask questions, they at least have that person, if not more, in their life. So that's kind of how our youth are affected, kind of from a government standpoint. Courts were closed for a while, so some of the teens may have been anticipating, permanent placements or placement shifts, and that was on hold for a while. So again, uncertainty really, building up. And then with distance learning, a lot of our youth don't have their own laptops or access to quality internet and reliable internet. So that's something, that teens in foster care are experiencing during this coronavirus pandemic.
And with Aging Up, if the community would like to reach out, how can they find you guys?
Yeah, so we're online at agingup.org. And you can always email info@agingup.org, and someone will answer that. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Lexi, how have you been mentoring during this time of the pandemic?
Well, it definitely has changed. I've been matched with my mentee for the last 6 months, and the first month we got to meet just 2 times. So I got to meet this new youth, and it was, kind of awkward at the beginning, like any type of first meeting a new person. And then the second time it got a little better. We went and got some Dutch Bros, and then COVID happened. So then all of a sudden we weren't able to meet. So it definitely changed how we were going to do this relationship. So with the help of Aging Up, I came up with some creative ideas. So some things we've done, I did a little drop off on her front porch where I took her a pot and some seeds and dirt. And then we actually did a little Zoom call. We got to plant our little pot together. And then it's been kind of like a weekly thing where we kind of show each other like, oh, is our seeds growing? So that's been kind of really cool, just to like have that little connection with us. And then also, like they shared earlier, we did the ice cream making, and the day that they were doing it, she wasn't able to come. So then she and I ended up doing another day where we basically made ice cream in a bag. So just, having a little sweet treat. We watched a movie together on Netflix, and it was actually a movie we both saw. But it was like, we chose it specifically because we wanted to be able to talk the whole time. So we like watched it on Zoom and turned it on Netflix, and it was a little bit of like pausing to check if we're at the same point. But then it was kind of fun because then we could like talk throughout the whole thing and like pause it and make comments. So just really kind of changing like what we're doing, but it's actually, I feel like, has connected us a little more. And especially for my mentee, I think it's really good just because she has been experiencing things that kind of, I think, most foster youth experience as teens in foster care, being concerned about if her placement's going to change, and just the added stress to her being home during the coronavirus. And I think for any family, but especially for families that, are doing foster care, they feel very stressed, and then she's stressed. So I think it's kind of nice that I can tell her I can't really change her living situation or what's happening, but I can still just be her kind of person, no matter what happens. So overall, it's been good.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see mentors step up and get creative like Lexi has. And so there's a mixture of virtual and door deliveries of care packages, or, like activities that they can do together, as well as some of our mentors are pen paling, which is kind of a dying art that they're resurfacing. So it's been really neat to watch how they get creative and engage with the teens.
Lexi, how did you become involved with mentoring?
I actually became involved with mentoring because I was listening to the radio. I think it was 100.5 on Sunday mornings. They like talk about, why can I think of it? They talk about different programs that you can volunteer through. And I heard about Aging Up, and it was actually something like I heard it I work on Sundays as I'm a nurse, as I'm driving, I can like hear, and I just kept hearing it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that organization sounds really cool. And I heard it like 3 times. I was like, okay, if this is like a sign, I'm supposed to be a part of this organization. And then I ended up emailing, and it was like, I like barely met the cutoff, but they were like so good. I emailed them, they're like, just fill this packet out. And it was like really easy, just like meeting with them and going through the interview process and training was like really helpful and supportive. So it's just been a really good process of feeling supported through Aging Up, and then just being able to join a great organization and volunteer.
And for anybody that would like to become a mentor, what qualifications do they need to have? How does that work?
So all of our mentors are just regular people. You know, they're adults that are willing to commit to 1 year to a young person to mentor. So they just have to be at least 22 years of age. We have an entire process. Our first step would be to attend an orientation where they can learn more about the organization and what our expectations are. And those will start in December. So at this point, if they're interested, they can email and we can give them a schedule so that they can sign up right now. After the orientation, we do an interview with staff. And then from there, we select people to invite to our training. So it's a training program that at this point, because of COVID, we're kind of prepared for anything. So it wouldn't start until, you know, late February, early March. So depending on conditions, maybe we'll be able to do some in person. Otherwise, we're prepared to do a hybrid model or completely all virtual training this time around. You know, they just have to be willing to commit to a year to a young person. And under normal circumstances, it's about 8 hours a month that they spend with the youth. They have to be willing to travel throughout the greater Sacramento area because the kids can move foster homes. Right now, with the remote mentoring, that's kind of easy to do. But, you know, at some point, we're hoping to get back to normal. So they still have to be willing to do that. And we're just looking for just regular people. We don't need to get people that are trying to be saviors or superheroes to the kids. Our kids are amazing people, and they really do come with a lot of their own strengths. So it's more about just being able to walk beside them in life and being able to become that stable, consistent, supportive adult in their lives. We also have a lot of youth in foster care, especially older teens. There's an overrepresentation of LGBTQ youth and Black and Brown youth. So it would be great to get mentors that represent those communities or are very strong allies to those communities as well.
For anybody that's interested in becoming a mentor, what can they expect with training?
So training is really all about giving our mentors the tools to be successful. If they don't have experience or knowledge of the foster care system, that's where they'll get it. So our training program, they learn about foster care. We're a trauma-informed organization, so they learn about trauma and the impact of trauma. We're very strength-based, so they learn what that means and how they can have a strength-based relationship, what mentoring is about, basics of mentoring, as well as an opportunity to kind of role play and practice the skills that they'll need to be successful. We have speakers that come in, we do some of the training, and we watch videos. We do implicit bias training, and then our mentors also have to be mandated reporters since we're working with minors. So that's one piece of the training. But it's all kind of rolled up, whether we have the training in person or it's going to be virtual. All of those topics will be covered so that our mentors go out and they feel like they have the skills to be successful in this relationship. And then another piece of our program that I don't think we mentioned is that we have match coordinators. And these are, right now we're working with 3 licensed therapists that provide match support for skills and that knowledge to help mentors build that relationship with the young person and kind of help them keep that trauma-informed focus in their relationship. And then they are the main supports to our mentors throughout this. So their whole goal is just to have the mentor and youth connect and have that relationship be successful.
I just want to share my experience of going through the mentor training. I thought it was really wonderful and really supportive. I think one of my favorite parts was when we got to role play, kind of like they gave us like little questions like, what if your mentee asks you this, you know, how are you going to respond? And they gave us some really hard topics because a lot of these young people are experiencing things that most people wouldn't experience till they're much older, you know, so just being ready that, you know, young people may ask some big questions. And I really liked, they really taught us, that, we need to, kind of get good answers, but it's more of like, having a conversation with them. I think the cool part about being a mentor, which they taught us, is we're not here to be their parent. We're trying to guide them maybe a little bit, but more of just trying to be like a supportive adult in their life. So I think it's kind of fun because I get to do the fun stuff with my mentee. Like we get to make ice cream together and watch movies. And then just also, when she asks questions about like school or her future, I can be that person to kind of make her dream big and kind of think like, what are your goals, and try to just say things, but not having to be her parent, I think is really nice because I just get that really good relationship, and I think it's good for her too. But the training was really great because we also got a lot of information, but then you also got to like meet with these other people who were being mentors too, and I've connected with some of them, and so that's really fun to kind of share experiences. And I really like the match coordinator. That person's been really great and helpful because she contacts me and she'll contact my mentee separately. So sometimes as a mentor, you're like, is this young person like connecting with me? How is she feeling? So just to kind of get feedback of our relationship is really good. And then if there are any, like I said, sometimes young people will ask these intimidating questions, and as an adult, it's daunting. Like, am I going to say the right thing? Just to have another person like I can ask, like, for support if anything that I need for myself or for her.
If the community would like to become more involved with aging up, how would they do so?
Well, like Keisha said, we are looking for awesome adults just like Lexi who want to spend time with the youth and are willing to commit to at least a year. So anyone interested in mentoring, you can email info@agingup.org.
If anybody is dealing with depression and with the exclusion of the quarantine, what advice would you give right now?
I would say try to connect as much as you can to people. Reach out. I know we get in a habit of just texting or emailing to people a lot of times, or talking through social media. But something that I found really helpful is actually picking up the phone and having conversations with friends that you hear their voice, but anyway, you can connect with other people. It could be through volunteer work. It could just be through just people that you have in your life already, but just reach out and make those connections.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing, connect with others, but also just honor that and acknowledge like what you're feeling in that moment. It's not bad. A lot of people are feeling it. So there's a lot of community where you can lament together, but also do fun stuff like, a Netflix watch party or make a phone call. And yeah, just human connection. It's huge how powerful it is.
And I know something we're doing with our youth in a few weeks is we're going to do a group where we're going to talk about mindfulness. We have an instructor coming. So I think that's really important during these times, is at least once a day for people to kind of reset how they're feeling. Whether that could be taking a moment to kind of just relax your mind, maybe you do yoga, or maybe you go for a run, whatever it is that you enjoy, just 3 to 5 minutes a day, just do something that you really enjoy. And help your body kind of reset with that joy, can kind of help with the stress that you're feeling right now.
Just as caring adults who might have either formally as a mentor, or you might be an auntie or an uncle, have your own children, checking in with them is really important, because we're experiencing our own stress and anxieties and isolation, maybe even depression. But teens, their social world, it means so much to them, and that peer interaction and with distance learning and social distancing, they're really missing that right now. And so just checking in and letting them know that you understand, and making ways where they can connect possible, be it over Xbox Live or Zoom or in person at a park with mask on, whatever is safe, just allowing them the opportunity to, engage with their peers and know that they do have an adult who understands and respects that they're going through a lot of emotional experiences right now.
Do you guys hold any virtual events for the community?
Right now, we currently do not. Our events are group events with the teens and their mentors, so it's really they're learning side by side with their mentor or having fun with their mentors as well as their peers. We do have opportunities for us professionals and people who might want to lead one of our independent living skills workshops. So we do work with the community that way, where we have adults who have a skill set that they can pass on to the teens. And right now, all of our group events are taking place virtually, so that's an opportunity where we're reaching out to the community. One event we did, you can kind of see behind Keisha and myself, were these
back there.
the water paintings. We worked with Pinot's Palette in Elk Grove, and they're basically like a paint party facility where typically people go in and they drink wine and paint. And we held a group event where we actually picked up these great little supply packages. We delivered them to the teens and the mentors. And then we met over Zoom and were able to basically follow the instruction and hold a paint party. So typically once or twice a year, we might hold some kind of event, Big Day of Giving or Giving Tuesday. We do some online fundraising, and we have an annual fundraiser that takes place in September that this year is a virtual event where folks are choosing to have do a fun activity that they enjoy, kind of in honor of helping a youth enjoy some activity. And through that activity, they're raising funds on our behalf. So next year, we hope to return to an in-person group event. But like everyone else, we're just kind of, riding this wave and adapting and adjusting as best as possible, with really just the focus on continuing to serve the youth as best as we can. We're really excited to meet our, next group of mentors, and for folks who just, want to have fun. And mentoring can be hard work. It's, emotional, and you are investing in a young person, but you do get rewards out of it, and you also get to re-explore some of your own interests and introduce those to a young person, and have that young person introduce their interests to you. So if that's something anyone's interested in, right now is the time to sign up and schedule your orientation date and go from there through our process.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.